What's going on out there, everybody? Hey, let's take a look at the games that I added to my collection in the month of April. 40 games, 8 consoles. Sit back, relax, and enjoy these pickups. Alright guys, so like I said in the intro, I got 40 games to show you all today. 40 games I picked up in the month of April. So let's start off with some Sega Genesis games. Starting with Golden Axe 2. Wanted to get this game for a long time. I knew it was out there, and I was just waiting on a good price on it, and I ended up picking it up for 20 bucks shipped to me. As you know, Golden Axe is a staple for the Sega Genesis. It's unfortunate that we didn't get more games. We did have the fighting game on the Sega Saturn, which I don't have, but Golden Axe 2, definitely a cool one to be added to the collection. Another game I've been waiting to add to the Genesis collection is Sunset Riders. Really cool run and gun shooter with cowboys. And the Super Nintendo is, I think, a better port of the game. I don't have the Super Nintendo version. I've played it multiple times, but this one holds up really well. It's kind of hard because it's an arcade port, so it's gonna be a little bit harder. But from what I've played of it, it's been really well, and it holds up really well today. Fun little co-op game. If you got some friends over, if they ever ask you, hey, like, what good games do you have that are 2 players on the Sega Genesis, keep your eye out for Sunset Riders, and also keep your eye out for it on the Super Nintendo because it's a good port there as well. Coming in at number 3 is Williams Arcade Greatest Hits. This is the box version here. It's got 5 games on it. They are Robotron 2084, which is probably one of the games that I play the most on this cart. Defender, also Defender 2, so Defender 1 and 2. It's got Joust, and then also it's got a game called Sinister and or Sinistar. But 5 arcade games. They're excellent ports of the arcade. Robotron, like I said, is the game that I've been playing the most on here. It's just the sound effects and everything is spot on. But I've been having a lot of fun with this one. Been playing it a lot, and I picked it up for pretty cheap. So keep your eye out for this one because it's a lot of fun. Another one. This one is kind of an RPG on the Genesis. It's called Light Crusader. I had the just a regular cartridge for this, but I ended up getting a really good deal on the box version. It has the manual and everything. Like I said, RPG elements. The only issue that I could see was that it has a little bit of the box art is torn. But you know what? For the price, I think I paid like 14 bucks for it. It was worth it to me to get this game boxed because it sells for a little bit more than that. The game is kind of like from an isometric view. You're going to be going around talking to people, going through dungeons, upgrading swords, buying that type of stuff. It's typical RPG stuff. And the other thing about this is this game is made by Treasure. Treasure is the one who developed this game. And if you know anything about Treasure, they make some really good games like Gunstar Heroes. They also did the McDonald's game as well on the Sega Genesis, which is a really fun game as well. So keep your eye out for this game. It's not the greatest RPG. It's not going to blow your mind, but from what I've played it so far, it's been a lot of fun. Another good little co-op game on the Sega Genesis. This is Our Real Monsters, or Real Monsters. An old Nickelodeon show. They basically made it into a platformer. It's kind of cool. You can use each other's abilities. Like Obelina, she can like really stretch up tall and stuff like that, and then you can climb on each other to get to higher platforms and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of people give this game bad reviews, but I think it's a lot of fun, especially if you're looking for a co-op game. It's definitely one that you should keep your eye out for. One thing that just caught my eye on this, and I just saw it looking at the back of the box art, was that this was published by Ballistic. Ballistic is basically a subdivision of Accolade. They use that, and they release games under the label ballistic, but that was interesting to me because you'll see later on in this I got a couple other games that were either published or developed by Ballistic, and but this one is actually developed by Viacom. I don't know many games that they've done, but like I said, this game is going for really cheap. You can find it out there. It's not an uncommon game. Pretty fun game. You should definitely check it out. Now, I'm not a huge fan of puzzle games or puzzle platformer games, but this next one is, and it's The Humans, developed by GameTech. This game is surprisingly a lot of fun. I've kind of found a lot of fun in the challenge of it. You're kind of timed on a level, and you have, humans. They're basically cavemen, and you use their abilities to, to complete a stage, whatever it needs you to do. If you want to get from point A to point B, you kind of have to use their abilities, whether it be you pick up a spear, you use that spear to pole vault yourself across a platform, you throw the spear back to, some other caveman characters that you control, with the goal being that you get your entire team from one area to another. So it was pretty cool in that regard, kind of challenging. But it's one that I'll definitely kind of come back to here and there and just test it out and see if I can get farther and further in the game. Another game I've had my eye on for a while is Toki Going Ape Spit. This game is a lot of fun. It kind of plays like a platformer, and it's basically a platformer in that regard, but it kind of has some run and gun shooting elements. I mean, now Toki, he moves slow. But it's kind of got some shooter elements to it where you can like pick up power-ups and use those different power-ups to your advantage to further progress yourself in the game. When I first got the game in, I looked at it and I saw it was 2 players, and I was hoping it was 2 players simultaneous, but it's actually not 2 players simultaneous. It's one of those games where the first player goes, and once they die, the second player comes on and plays. But Toki Going Apespit is just such like an oddball game, like a title. The title is weird. The cover art is really, really weird. Hopefully I can get a good shot of that. If you've never seen the cover art, go check it out. And it's it's funny. It's got the play on words, Toki Going Apespit. So definitely a game that I wanted to add for a while. I was waiting to get a good price on it. I did pay a good amount. I think I paid like $40 for it. So, but that's pretty good for this game. It usually goes for more. In fact, I paid $44 for it. I remember now because I offered the guy $40 and he turned me down. But I ended up just paying the price anyways. And that's the thing about eBay is like sometimes like if you make an offer, don't just buy it. Like make the offer. See what they want. Test the waters a little bit and see what they want for the game before you go and pay that full price. Ooh, this game is, this game is a lot of fun. RoboCop versus the Terminator. Awesome game. Very, very graphic and kind of bloody for the time that it was released. A lot of games at the time weren't really pushing the limit of the blood and gore and stuff, but this game goes all out on it. Excellent soundtrack on this game. I really like the soundtrack on this game. And not only that, like you got some really, really cool weapons that you can use. You're RoboCop, you're going around and just, anything in your path you're taking out. Challenging game, but worth the challenge. Definitely worth it on all levels. You should keep an eye out for this thing. It's not uncommon. You'll find it out there. And even if you can get the loose card of it, it's worth it. To me, it's definitely worth it. So I guess the theme of this month was kind of getting some good 2-player games for the Sega Genesis. This game I ended up getting a steal for it. $24 I paid with this shipped to me. And Crackdown on the Sega Genesis. Really, really fun game. This game I found the most fun playing co-op out of all the games here. It's just the right amount of challenge and just enough gameplay for you to kind of get through it and play a lot of the levels. So you'll get some good play time out of this if you have a friend there to play some co-op with. Basically in this game, what you want to do is you want to go and plant bombs on all these X markers. And once you plant the bomb, as soon as you plant it, you want to get out of the room and move to the next area, and then there'll be other places to plant bombs on the next level. This game's also got some really cool cutscenes that play out throughout the game. It's just well developed game. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's kind of like an underground game. Not that it's not known or that people don't recommend it, but I think that some people have reviewed it kind of bad, and that like soured the taste on it for the retro gaming community. But I'm here to tell you that this game is actually a really good game on the Sega Genesis. So I had to get a fighting game this month for the Sega Genesis, and there's not a whole lot of top tier fighting games on the Sega Genesis, and this one's not one of them, but it's a lot of fun. You gotta play this game. It's called Balls 3D. This game's got some balls, that's for sure. For the time, the graphics were probably stunning to people. Now they're not super great, but I still thought they were really interesting. The way that the characters control, not great at all, but the game has endless amounts of funny humor, and if you sit down and you bust this game out with your friends and stuff, you'll be just button mashing at each other and watching what the characters do and stuff. They'll be doing flips and all kinds of stuff, throwing each other around. It's a whole lot of fun. Definitely a game that is cheap, affordable, and fun for the whole crew. So keep an eye out for Balls 3D. So this next game has kind of a little interesting story behind it. I found a posting on eBay of someone that was selling some sealed Sega Genesis games. Now, normally I don't collect sealed Sega Genesis games. In fact, I'm going to open this up. In one of my upcoming videos, I'm going to open this up on camera so that we can kind of get a look at this. This game came out in 1995, and it's called Earth Defense. It was released by Realtek. This game was only released in the U.S. and only released in Taiwan for the Sega Genesis console. But it's an unlicensed game for the Sega Genesis, and it's really interesting to me that this was sitting somewhere just sealed. The guy actually had a box full of them, so he's selling them. In fact, I'll leave the link to where I got my copy from. If you're a person that collects sealed games and stuff, you might want to check that out. I paid $16 for this, and for me to get a sealed Genesis game, for $16, and it's a space shooter nonetheless. So obviously I haven't tried the game yet because it's still sealed. But in one of my upcoming videos, what I'll do is I'm gonna unbox this thing. I'm gonna break the seal on it and check out what it comes with. I have no idea what it comes with. It might not even come with an instruction manual. Who knows? I was looking at some pictures and looking up some information on this release, and in particular, and I'm looking forward to doing that. What I'll do is I'll unbox it, and then I'm gonna just review the game, review the entire game. So it'll be an unboxing and review. Definitely look forward to that in the upcoming video. Alright, next up on the Genesis is a game that is hard as nails. It's called Wardner. Now this game is one-hit die. You get hit once, you're dead. Now you can continue, yeah, that's great and fine, but again, you get hit, you're dead. You don't have a whole bunch of lives to go through this game. You don't have a whole bunch of continues. I was not able to get very far in this game. It's one of those games where you're going to have to memorize it in order to get further and further in the game. So my main gripe with this game is that when you die, you eventually lose the gold that you collect in the game, and you need the gold in order to buy power-ups from the shop. So it's really hard to collect gold and be able to go to the shop and empower your character up. And the main problem is, once you die, you lose that power-up. So it's a hard game, but one that I might put some more time into and see if I can get further and further. I like hard games on the Genesis. I like hard games overall, but something about one of those games that are addictingly hard. You might know what I'm talking about. A game like Contra Hardcore, or a game like The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Those are the games that drive me to keep coming back to them, because they're so hard, but I want to beat them. So Wardner's one I'm going to come back to eventually. Next up is Cool Spot on the Sega Genesis. This game was released by Virgin Games. It's a platformer. you're going to be collecting spots, and you're trying to save the other spot characters. Basically, they're caged up, and you want to get to them. You want to collect all these little tokens or little spots, and it's your basic platformer, but it controls really well. The graphical style is interesting, and I think it's a game that's cheap and affordable, and if you can find it out there cheap, pick it up. Alright, so next up are some Genesis games that are, they're in box, and basically, like I was saying earlier in the video, Accolade and Ballistic were basically the same company. What happened was, Sega, Nintendo, in order to have that seal of quality, what they did was they made companies they required them only to develop like maybe 5 games a year, let's say 5 games a year, and in order to release more than 5 games a year, what companies would do is they'd make a branch company, and they'd release 5 for one and 5 for the other. And that's what happened with these games. Some of them actually came out later. And actually, Sega sued Accolade over those issues, as well as they sued them because they were releasing unlicensed games on their system. And actually, Sega lost that lawsuit. I was looking to do a video here about that eventually down the road, but I need some time to do that. So that's why I've been picking up these games. So hopefully look forward to seeing that in one of these upcoming episodes. First one is Bubsy on the Sega Genesis. Cool game developed by Accolade in-house. This kind of was one of those mascot platformers that were there to compete with all the other mascot platformers out there. This game plays really well, and I've heard it's better than Bubsy 2. I guess that's where the series really started to go downhill. Bubsy 2 came along, and then that god-awful game on the PlayStation 1 came out. But this game is actually where the game's roots are, and it's in a platformer, and it kind of moves fast. You can fly with Bubsy. You can jump on the characters' heads. It's got that mascot platformer formula. So if you like mascot platformers, Bubsy's one that you can definitely get for your Genesis collection. So here's a pretty cool release on the Sega Genesis is Vector Man. In past videos, I got Vector Man 2, but now I have the original in the box and everything. This game is really cool. I really like how the box is like, shiny like that. Genesis games, some of the games did that to, I guess, make them stand out a little bit more on the shelf. This thing's got the original price tag on it. I guess, an on-sale price. It was $23.99, and then they slashed the price down to $5.99. So that original price tag sticker's on there. It's kind of cool. But just like the second one, this is a platformer. Kind of has some run and gun elements to it. You're gonna upgrade your gun on the game, and you can shoot in all different directions and stuff like that. This game, I think, plays better than the second one, and I think it looks better than the second one. I think on the second Vector Man, on Vector Man 2, they kind of rushed the release on it, but Vector Man 1 is the one to go for. If I could recommend any to you, I'd go for Vector Man 1. Next up, I got a baseball game, and that is Hardball on the Sega Genesis. Pretty cool game for the time, I guess. Again, released by Ballistic, so I've been trying to scoop up all those games like that. So added Hardball to the mix. Then I also got, this one was an Accolade release, and it's called Warp Speed. Haven't played this game yet, but it looks like an interesting one. I also got Winter Challenge. This one's Ballistic, and you can tell the cases are the same. So basically the same company. In fact, if you look at the cartridge, they don't look like a normal Sega Genesis cartridge. They they look weird like that, and you see stuff like this on the Genesis, on the Super Nintendo, on the NES. Not so much with the Super Nintendo. Nintendo really had a leash on its developers back then, but some of these other games, like the Ballistic releases and the Accolade releases, they all came in these boxes that look like a PC, like an old PC game would come in, like this here. The Dual Test Drive 2. This game, I was playing this, and oh man, this game is god awful. You know what? I take that back though. For the time, I think this game was stunning to people. You know, it was kind of like you were allowed to, you know, test drive a Lamborghini on your, you know, on your Sega Genesis console. So I guess, you know, in that regard, that would have been cool. And last up, I got one of the rarest of the rare ballistic releases, and that's Onslaught. Onslaught is kind of like a platformer style game. It's kind of like capture the flag. You want to kind of get your character from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, but you want to kill like all the enemies that come across the screen, because the more enemies that get across the screen, the worse it is for you. At least from what I can tell. I don't know. A lot of the gameplay mechanics, I got to read through the manual and everything on this. But this game has been a lot of fun to play through. Kind of cool release. And definitely a rare title on the Sega Genesis that you do not see like ever. So glad to be adding that and growing that collection. Alright guys, so I got a couple Retro Rec Room games this month for free from Retro Rec Room, which thank you. That's awesome, Retro Rec Room, that you do that. And the game I got is Mickey's Dangerous Chase. It's been a cool game. Really cool, underrated Game Boy game. And it's not very expensive, like, so keep an eye out for this. It's a cool platformer. Plays a lot like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on the NES. If you like that game, you'll like this. You know, this is kind of the single player version of that. You can pick up boxes over your head and toss them at enemies like you can do in Rescue Rangers. So keep an eye out for that one, because it's a cheap one, cheap to own. Also, I picked up Legendary Wings from Retro Rec Room, game, you know, that is a good shooter, and developed by Capcom. Capcom doesn't seem to release many shooters. You know, obviously nowadays they're not releasing any shooters, but Legendary Wings is one of their better ones, so definitely cool. Let's see. Also, I got Batman Returns, developed by Konami, and that caught my eye whenever I saw that from Retro Rec Room. I didn't know that this one was developed by Konami. And it plays like a beat 'em up. It's a good Batman game from what I can tell. I kind of like it, and dare I say it, I kind of like it better than the Sunsoft game. I don't know. I also got one PlayStation 1 game this time around, and it's Contra on the PlayStation 1. The Legacy of War. The game, you know, this is whenever they first started really doing the whole 3D graphics, and you know, so the graphics by now have not aged well at all. In fact, the gameplay is a little bit too hard, and not in a good way. Not challenging fun. It's kind of just like you put it in and you start playing and you're just like, I don't feel like playing this game anymore. So not a good thing about that game, but I love everything Contra, so I will always collect anything Contra no matter what, even if it's bad, good or bad. I'll collect Contra stuff. It's one of my favorite series. And then I got some Xbox One games. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. I got this on sale. It cost me like $20 and it was brand new. I've played a little bit of it, but this game is a really cool release, and you know it's really cheap right now. It's cheap to own, so if you want a good Xbox One game, look for this. It's also came out on the PlayStation 4, and I think it's not. It might be out now on the Switch. Not sure. I'd have to check, but it's coming to the Switch. I know that. Either way, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a cool game, so look for that. Next up, I got an Xbox One game, and it's called Shadows Awakening. This game plays a lot like Diablo in a sense that you'll be going through dungeons, upgrading armor. You know, you want that legendary, the epic armor, that type of stuff, and you kind of replay through the mission to get the random loot drops. And I always like those type of games. It's kind of addicting to me to, you know, want to really outfit my character with the best gear. So I was looking at this game, but actually this game and the next game I actually got from GameStop. I stopped in and I actually got a deal on these. The deal was $14.99 and under. Pick 2 games and you get them for $20. So you know you end up saving a little bit of money. And this is a game that I just wanted to add to the Xbox One collection. And the second game is called the Banner Saga Trilogy. So 3 games in one on this disc. this game, I feel like, is going to be one of those games that is more uncommon in the future, and it's a game too that's got some pretty good reviews for it. So, game that I'm going to actually look forward to trying out. All right, next up, I actually got a boxed Super Nintendo game, which is odd for me because I usually don't collect many boxed Super Nintendo games, but this one was $20, and I couldn't believe the price on it. I thought it was a good deal. I don't know a whole lot about boxed Super Nintendo games and collecting. Maybe I overpaid for it. I have no idea. I thought it was a good deal. $20, and I've got Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, Super Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. This game's a really cool platformer, and I've been playing it a little bit here and there, but it's been really fun. The game is challenging, but again, I love that type of difficulty. So I'm definitely looking forward to coming back and playing this. You can play as all kinds of different characters. You get to play as like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca. I think you even get to play as C-3PO in this game. So kind of a funny release, but nonetheless a good game. All right, and I've also got some PlayStation 3 games here. I picked this one up for $1, and for $1 for a PlayStation 3 exclusive, I'm going to take that any day of the week. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. I don't know if this was like the worst one in the series. I haven't even played the first, second, third. I haven't played any of them. But this is a game that I picked up for $1. I got to start somewhere, right? I also got the Echo and Shadow of Colossus HD remake. I'm a big fan of Shadow of Colossus. I haven't played the Echo game yet, but I like these re-releases that they did in HD, and now that means I can kind of get rid of my PlayStation 2 copy, because I don't need 2 copies of the game, and this one is the more superior version. So looking forward to jumping into that and playing a little bit more. So with my PlayStation 3 collection, what I've decided to do is just collect console exclusives, because there's so many multi-platform games that come out, and I've already built my Xbox 360 collection up so far that I can't turn back right now. So with PlayStation 3, I'm just kind of looking for only console exclusives. There might be a couple that I get that aren't console exclusives, but this one is Katamari Forever. Really good game. Sought after game. Everybody enjoys the series. I've played the other games. I've played the Xbox exclusive, or the Xbox 360 exclusive. I'm sorry, but I really like the Katamari games. They're kind of funny and kind of a cool concept. A different game. You can't get this type of game anywhere else. To add the PlayStation 3 version was cool. Alright, next up, I've got another PlayStation 3 exclusive title. It's called Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. I haven't played the Sly Cooper series, but, like I said, PlayStation 3 exclusives, gotta get them. I'm waiting right now. I need to get a PlayStation 3 controller so that I can start playing these games. I did have one come in with my PlayStation 3 console, but for some reason the D-pad on it is not working right. It's acting all finicky. And another game that I got, this game I got, for really cheap, is The Last of Us. Cool game, developed by Naughty Dog. If you like your Crash Bandicoot, this is going to be nothing like that. But nonetheless, it's a title that I'm looking forward to actually playing and checking it out. Alright, and last up, I've got some Xbox 360 titles to whip through real quick. Tales of Vesperia, Xbox 360 exclusive. I don't know much about this game. I think it's kind of like a strategy RPG, war strategy RPG game. Not really sure. Haven't played it. Another game I got on the Xbox 360 is Turok. Been playing a little bit of this, going back to that first-person shooter style game. I like the gameplay of it. I don't like a whole lot of first-person shooters, but this one is one of those story-driven first-person shooters where the story of the game is just as important as the multiplayer. So a game that I've been playing a little bit lately and having a lot of fun with. Another one that I've been enjoying is Ninja Gaiden 3. The game is challenging, but it's a Ninja Gaiden game. It's got to be challenging, right? Ninja Gaiden. This one is not an exclusive title on the Xbox 360, but I ended up getting the exclusive Ninja Gaiden 2 on the Xbox 360. The game is really fast-paced, ninja-style game. You know, you're going to be taking people out. You're going to be doing ninja things. If you like to do ninja things, this game's really cool. So look for it. And also, it's a console exclusive. So you know, peep that and keep an eye out for it. Another game I bought and I haven't played, X-Men Destiny. I don't know anything about it, but I got it for on the cheap and glad to be adding it to the collection. And the next game I've got is called the First Templar. I played this game. I've been playing it a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed a little bit, and you know, with the Templar lore and all that type of stuff. You play as two characters in this game, and you can upgrade them at your leisure. You switch back and forth between the two, and you can switch on the fly back and forth when like maybe one's hurt a little bit more. The game itself has some pretty good combat, and you know, I ended up getting it cheap, so you know, it's a game that I don't really see on the Xbox 360, or I don't really see it out and about very much. So you know, maybe one day it's going to become a rare title, who knows. But I ended up picking it up for like, you know, $5, and that's fine with me. This game blew my mind whenever I started playing it. Dantes Inferno. Now I know this game got, you know, great reviews and everything, but it lives up to the hype. The game plays a lot like the God of War games with the quick time events and you know, all those gigantic boss fights and stuff. It's a really hard game, actually. You know, I died a lot of times playing this game, but you know, it's, oh man, the cinematics in this game are cool. Everything about this game is just fun, like on all levels, and it's definitely one that I highly recommend. Get it on the PlayStation 3, however you can play this game. This game blew my socks off whenever I started playing it. I mean, I was amazed. You know, there's certain games that whenever I start playing, I'm like, holy cow, like this is a game. Like this is, you know, this was really well thought out, really planned, like really well, and they didn't take any liberties in it. Like they made the game, you know, exactly how it should be. And Dantes Inferno is definitely a game that I'm going to be coming back to. Hopefully there's more and more, because I can't wait to play it even more. Alright guys, and the last game I got is Gaiden 4. I think it's Gaiden 4. This game is a Xbox 360 exclusive. I think it's also a GameStop exclusive title. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really sure. But the interesting thing about this game is it's gone up in price. And when it retailed originally, it was like $20, I'm pretty sure. You know, or you know, they slapped a used sticker on it. But you know, nonetheless, this game's cool. It's a cool release because it has the soundtrack to the game here, as well as, you know, it comes with the game. You can buy this on the Xbox One online store, but this game will actually play on your Xbox One too. If you pop it into your Xbox One, it'll play there. The graphics aren't going to get a huge boost or anything off of it. It's a spaceship shooter, and it's tough as nails. It's what you want out of a spaceship shooter. If you like those challenging shooter games, this is a game that you should look out for, especially because it's a exclusive title for the Xbox 360. Good little co-op game, awesome soundtrack, a lot of fun to play. Alright guys, with all that out of the way, I want to thank you for sticking around, watching to the end of the video. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and as always guys, enjoy your gaming, and enjoy the rest of your day.